Hey everyone, Wydek welcoming you to a set of replays from the WCS Season 2 European Edition. And from Group C, we have spawning here on Newkirk Precinct. In the bottom left as the blue Terran, representing Team Acer, we have MMA. And MMA's opponent, spawning in the bottom right as the red Terran, representing Team Empire, we have Happy. Good old Happy. I love that name. It's so basic and simple. But we'll have to see if the Russian has the stuff to deal with the Korean. And in TVTs, it is a very dynamic matchup. It's not like Starcraft 1, where it was just all tanks and drops. In StarCraft 2, players can choose to go bio or mech, and there are a lot of other strategies in between, such as Banshee, Harass, or Mine Drops, and things like that. So we'll have to see what sort of strategies these players deploy on each other. MMA is opening up with the barracks on the high ground, so very standard, but Happy's going for gas early. So maybe he's going to be going for early factory, as I'm not a big fan of Reapers on Newkirk Precinct. Because it's difficult to jump up into your main base of your opponent. Because to actually jump up into your main, you have to actually go into the natural, and you only have a small surface area to jump up. So it might be difficult to go Reapers. Mind you, Reapers on Reaper action wouldn't be that bad in TVT. It's basically whoever has better Reapers and better controls wins. So there is a possibility he might be going for Reapers. Now, I find the positioning of this barracks very strange, because it's on the left side of this map of Happy's base. Generally, you want to put the barracks here to help complete the wall off, so scouting SCVs cannot get into the base, as MMA's SCV has already arrived. I'm not sure why Happy wants to put up that depot. And there we go. We have the factory up, and MMA is able to see everything, the timing, and the reactor. Now, MMA has done the more traditional block off, and if Happy does send an SCV, he won't be able to see very much. Now, it looks like Happy is going to complete the wall off eventually with supply depots instead. But he has to watch out, because we still have this very annoying SCV from MMA poking around on that SCV. And that SCV is losing a lot of life. Down to 15, down to 10. And now Happy has to send another SCV to complete this supply depot. But at the same time, this SCV is still whacking away at this new SCV. So Happy has to send another SCV off the line. And that's another problem when you don't finish the block off. You have to use more SCVs to deal with any harassing miners. And actually, this SCV, this MVP SCV, able to kill one of the other miners. So great control by MMA. That's very bad for Happy. I mean, that doesn't mean he's going to lose the game, but whenever you lose units for free, that's not a good deal. So he's going to be sending out the first Hellion. He's getting the starport up as well. MMA already has this blocked off, like I mentioned before. So it's going to be very difficult for Happy to penetrate. Once he raises these depots, basically these units won't be able to get in. The Hellion also doesn't do a lot of damage against depots. Now, Happy has to be careful here. He can't see up the ramp. This Hellion's taking a lot of free damage and is now almost dead. Only 1/3 of its life left, and now Happy is going to have to retreat. At the same time, MMA starport is almost finished. There we go. He's constructing a Viking immediately. Now, both players are supply blocked. There we go. Not supply blocked anymore for MMA. Now, Happy is still supply blocked, but he does have that medevac almost finished. There we go. He's got 4 Marines. And he might be putting more Marines and then one of the Hellions in? No, he's just going to be going with 6 Marines. Very interesting choice that he didn't want to fill up that medevac. Generally, you could fill up that medevac with another Hellion. I'm not sure why you wouldn't. Happy's just going to go with 6 Marines. Now, MMA's Marines and Hellions, because he has the wall off here, he's keeping them in the center of his base, which is pretty good positioning. He can deal with attacks at the front or behind. And Happy's medevac spots it immediately, and the Viking is there as well. So this medevac is not going to be able to do anything. And is now in full retreat. Going to activate those afterburners. Takes quite a few shots. but is going to be able to escape. Now, scan does go down for MMA. He's able to see all the tech structures, but he doesn't see the army, so this is now giving him a cue that maybe Happy might be coming across the map. Now, he does have Marines and Hellions in the center of his base again. He does have a Widow Mine on that forward ramp into his natural, so that'll give him a little bit of early detection if Happy really wants to barge in here. Now, Happy has to be very careful here. Now, if he pays special attention, he can see the Widow Mine. It's a little black spot in the ground. I'm not sure if he's able to see it now. It looks like he's moving around the ramp. He might be laddering up. Yes, he's going to be laddering up from the low ground. Good strategy by Happy. And now that SV is under attack, that command center is not going to finish building, at least for now. Now, we do have a head-on confrontation. Now, the army size, we have 5 to 5 Hellions and 12 to 11 Marines, so very even currently. The Widow Mine is being placed in a better position. Now, the Marines are firing at each other. The Hellions are getting a lot of splash damage on the Marines. Now, the Vikings have been able to take down a lot of the air units. Now, MMA has full control, and it looks like all the units from Happy have been cleaned up by the Marines and Hellions. They're all burnt to a crisp. Now, units lost heavily favor MMA, and it looks like MMA might be going for a drop of his own. He's got a full medevac here, and he's got more reinforcements. Now, Happy does have a small contingent of units outside this ramp, but they're just going to get eaten up here if he's not controlling them. All the Marines go down immediately, and so does the Hellion. And now Happy is really reeling. He's down by almost 20 supply. He's trying to get some Vikings out and some more Hellions, and he's actually not producing anything from his barracks. He's going to use it as a scouting barracks. I'm not sure if this is the best time to scout. The medevac is going to boost in here. This Viking is not going to do enough damage before all the units are able to unload. The Widow Mine does burrow as well, able to take down a few SCVs. But the Marines are going to get melted away, but the MMA Hellions are in here now. They're also going to be targeting down these Hellions. And Happy is really reeling in his base. He's pulling off SCVs from his line. Now it looks like MMA has free domain in the base. There's only one Viking here on the ground with an additional Hellion for support. Happy is going to be landing another Hellion, or I'm sorry, a Viking. Vikings are pretty good against Hellions. But the Vikings are just doing so much damage to those SCVs. We've already got 15 lost SCVs. Happy is really, really behind. He's down by 25 supply. And MMA also has his second base up and running. And he's mining with a furious pace with a whole bunch of mules as well. He's also putting down 2 more factories to get that production going to jive with his improved economy. Now, Happy does have his second orbital, and he will be landing it, but he's down by so much supply. And now, with a Banshee, I don't think this Banshee can do too much. There are 3 Vikings here, but MMA does have Cloak. And the Cloak does go down. This Banshee is not going to be able to do very much. So, good pickoff by Happy. But he's going to have a lot more confrontations like that if he wants to get back in this game. We do have a small hit squad of Hellions moving across the map. We do have another Banshee from MMA. It is easily spotted by that floating barracks. We also have Infernal Pre-Igniter being upgraded by Happy. So it looks like Happy wants to get ahead by doing some reciprocal economic damage on those SCVs. Not sure how successful it will be. Now Happy is able to take down that second Banshee for free again. So Happy has been able to take those 2 Banshees out very easily. But MMA is just so far ahead economically. If you take a look at the workers lost, and if you take a look at the army, we have 48 SCVs, 227. That's a 21 SCV difference. MMA is just sprouting ahead. Once again, the Banshee does go down for MMA, so Happy is dealing with those Banshees quite well. But he really needs to deal with the economic advantage that MMA has. Now, he does have 3 Vikings here. Is he going to be landing them? Yes, but we do have a tank from MMA. Happy needs to be very careful here. And actually, he's just going to lose a Viking and not be able to destroy that siege tank. The siege tank is going to get repaired up. The Vikings are landing again, picking away at those SCVs. So he's able to kill a few SCVs here. I believe he killed 3 there, so that is a good move by Happy, but he's going to have to do a lot more. He's still down by about 30 supply, and that hit squad of Hellions is actually retreating to Happy's side of the map. Now, Infernal Pre-Igniter is finished for Happy, and it looks like MMA is going to counter by starting his own. And Hellion on Hellion Blue Flame is very, very interesting. The Hellions get eaten up very quickly. Hellions don't have a lot of life, and especially with that long line of splash damage, they can do significant damage to each other in droves. And now MMA is going to be landing his 3rd orbital, and this is going to really, really set these two players apart. As 3-2 bases in a TVT matchup, it's a no-brainer. And I think what MMA is doing is he's just solidifying. He's not pushing his advantage yet, but now it looks like he will be moving across the map. He does have 15 Hellions. Now, Happy does have 13, so it is fairly even. But we also have this Banshee providing free shots, so this should go MMA's way. Now, it looks like the Vikings are coming in here trying to deal with that cloaked, very annoying Banshee, but it looks like Happy has been able to deal with this quite well, it looks like. Now, there are still 2 Hellions left, but the Vikings are going to land for Happy, scaring away these Hellions. Now, you have to remember that entire engagement occurred even though MMA didn't even have Blue Flame. So, once Blue Flame finishes for MMA, if another encounter like that occurs, Happy is really, really not going to be able to defend that attack. Because even though the numbers were equal, MMA still, without Blue Flame, was still able to do significant damage to the opposing Hellion force. And now, with about a 40 supply advantage, MMA is just going crazy at this 3rd base. We've got a whole bunch of mules. He's setting up refineries as well. And we also have this huge tank line all sieged up. We are also getting +1 weapons and also Hellbats. Now, Hellbats have a lot more life, but they are a lot slower. But it looks like Happy has been able to do some economic damage here, but the Hellbats are scaring these Hellions away. The Hellions have been able to kill some SCVs, like I mentioned, but they are going to get trapped in between the tanks and that Hellbat. And no more economic damage, it looks like, can be done. We still got this one lone Hellion, it looks like. Is he going to be able to pick away? Yes! He's able to do more economic damage, and actually at this point, Happy has actually killed more SCVs than MMA has. But you have to remember, because MMA had that huge advantage earlier in the game, it doesn't really matter as much. He's ahead still by about 40 supply. Now, we do have Vikings here and an auto turret drop down. So Happy's trying to be very annoying here, but not succeeding that much. MMA is setting up missile turrets as well. And now it's going to be very difficult for that Raven to get in there. We have a small hit squad of Hellions from Happy rushing down into that 3rd base, trying to pick away at these SCVs, able to kill some. Now, I'm not really sure if this is a very good trade, because you have to remember, you can pick away at the economy all day long, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to win, because when you're behind, you also have to take into account the army size, and MMA is just rushing across the map. He's got 11 tanks to Happy's 4, and he's also got 10 Hellbats to Happy's 4. And he's also got 2 Thors in this composition. Now, they are a little bit slow, so there is only 1 currently. Now, Happy does have the high ground and the defender's advantage, but can 5 sieged tanks deal with this huge army? I don't think so. This is going to be a huge problem. That Raven goes down immediately. All the tanks are being focused fired on by these mobile tanks, and Happy's army is demolished immediately, and Happy's going to have to tap out. So, MMA is going to take game 1 of this best-of-3 series. It just looked like MMA was just much more crisp in everything that he was doing. And once he had that early advantage, he was able to ride that momentum all the way to the end. And you have to remember, Happy did do a lot of economic damage after. But it was just exponentially growing as MMA had just too much of a large economic advantage compared to his Red Terran opponent. And Happy wasn't able to get back in the game. And like I said, even though MMA lost more SCVs than Happy, it was when it occurred. Now, if MMA had lost those 28 SCVs a lot earlier, obviously the outcome would have been a lot different. But losing 28 SCVs near the end of the game, when your army is so much larger, doesn't really matter. And in this case, no, and in most cases, it doesn't matter. So good game by both players. Let's head over to game 2 and see what the outcome is.